Well, that escalated quickly, as you say. Graham Potter out, Nuno Espirito Santo in. It makes a lot more sense now. It really, really does. I never quite understood why any manager with any ambition would look at the next two games, and in terms of Everton and Arsenal, and think, I'm ready to throw them. I will keep West Ham up, but I'm ready to sacrifice those 6 points. It just never made any sense at all. It's never made any sense, as I've mentioned before, when a manager gets a job and he takes the first game and sits in the stands to assess it. But this made even less. All I can imagine is, as of yesterday, when Graham Potter was taking that press conference and nothing much was said. He spoke in riddles, as he usually does. Yes, everyone sort of made a lot of the fact that he made a passing comment about his 15-year-old son liking all the face swap stuff. Although I never believed for a moment that Graham Potter didn't have a favourite. The interviewer asked him, said, "Graham, have you got a favourite?" And he said, "I haven't got time. I haven't got time for that." I don't believe that. I reckon it was the one with James Ward-Prowse holding him as a baby. But anyway, I do believe that yesterday, when West Ham got him to take the press conference, they probably still thought that he was going to be in charge for Everton. Because I've always thought that it was probably West Ham who had decided, do you know what, I think we might almost throw the game against Everton, throw the game against Arsenal, and then look at it, because that's more in keeping with the way West Ham act. We dither, we delay. All these times in the past where we've seen it with managers, where we look at them and we think, well, hold on a second, they've been given 3 games left, 3 games to save their job. That's very much in keeping with West Ham. I do think at the start of the transfer window that Graham Potter wasn't really supported early enough. I don't think we did our transfer business. I felt very much like West Ham as a club almost sacrificed those early fixtures by not getting the transfer business done early. So West Ham deciding that we're going to not have a manager for the next 2 games, or we're going to have a lame duck manager in Graham Potter and sort of almost then just get someone in afterwards, never sat quite right with me. So I'm in that sense, I'm very, very pleased that we've now decided to appoint Nuno Espirito Santo now. But I also do think that one of the reasons for that happening is because Nuno has decided, actually, I'll take the job now. I'm pleased. To be honest with you, it had got to the point where almost anybody was better than Graham Potter. In fact, I'm going to take away the almost out of that sentence. Anybody is better than Graham Potter. I really do believe that. It was never a case that anyone other than David Moyes, but I did think anyone other than Julian Lopetegui, I was wrong. Potter's been worse than Julian Lopetegui. His record is awful, and he is the worst West Ham manager, statistically the worst West Ham manager there's been. I hope that record never gets beaten in that sense, because it means we'll have seen a worse manager than Graham Potter. I don't have a huge amount of sympathy. I don't think the club handled it well. I don't have a massive amount of sympathy for Potter. If it was someone else, I would have done. But bearing in mind, Potter took advantage of this situation where he was being interviewed and took the job whilst Julian Lopetegui was in position. The same thing has happened to him. It'll get a payoff. All his staff will go, including Carl McCauley, which we mentioned that on this channel the other day. We'll discuss that's almost like a separate video, because that ties in with how ridiculous it is that West Ham have planned so much, paid a compensation package, and planned so much of our recruitment around Carl McCauley. And he's gone, and this is why you have to keep your director of football. I know McCauley didn't specifically have that title, but it's why you keep your recruitment, if you like, separate from your head coach. For reasons such as this, it's a mess, but we've got a new manager now, so it's a case of, I guess the king is dead, long live the king in that respect. We are back to pragmatic football, and whilst I don't particularly welcome the style of football, I will take anything that stops us being relegated at the moment, because we are... Sorry, my computer's just crashed. I'll take anything at the moment. I really will, that stops us being relegated, because for reasons I've said on numerous occasions, I do believe that if West Ham get relegated in this stadium, it will be an absolute mess. On to Espirito Santo himself. I mentioned this in a video before. I actually think, with the exception of the central defenders, he has got players which almost might mimic his time at Nottingham Forest, and particularly the team that we saw last year. And what we do know is Nuno will not be picking James Ward-Prowse, because he certainly didn't do that at Nottingham Forest. He decided he didn't want to. But in terms of, I can make a bit of a case here actually, and that is that centre backs, in terms of Murillo, it's Milenkovic, isn't it? Is that his name? Those two central defenders, they are a level above anything that West Ham have got. But I think in terms of his fullbacks, I think he'll like what he's got. And in terms of his wide players, I can certainly make a case that you have Elanga and Hudson-Odoi. I don't think he'd be disappointed with Jared Bowen and Crescencio Somerville. I don't think he'd be disappointed with those two. I think those two will be in, and I think they'll play in wing positions. I think in terms of his Morgan Gibbs-White, I think he's got that in Lucas Paqueta. I think in terms of his Elliot Anderson, in a sense, he has that with Fernandes. In terms of his defensive midfielder, he's number 6. Well, I don't know at the moment. It's hard to talk about Magassa. I've only seen him up close once, and that was against Crystal Palace, and I wasn't particularly impressed. But that's it. You can't judge a player from that limited bit. But I do wonder if he will straight away put Potts in. I wonder if that's the case. We don't know. We don't really know what he's going to be like. But I do believe in the main, he has the players there in terms of Chris Wood, Nicholas Fulkrug. Not directly the same, but I think he has enough there where he can implement his style of football. Is it perfect? No. Will he want to make signings? Yes. But it's hard for me to think that anybody can be as bad as Graham Potter. I just think he will get a lot more for them. Before I go any further, can I please point in the direction of I nearly forgot today's video sponsor, which is Surfshark. Surfshark are a VPN. If you haven't got a VPN, why have you not got a VPN? You need a VPN now more than any other time. Why? Well, number one, it's going to encrypt all your data on your computer, on your mobile phone, on your Fire Stick, on your laptop, on your iPad, anything else you've got, you're going to need a VPN. If you're using your devices for banking apps, it's going to keep all that stuff secret, particularly if you're going to go and use public Wi-Fi. If you want to go and be able to access content that you ordinarily can't access because you're in a certain region, maybe you want to watch that sporting event that's not available in this particular region, then what you can do is you can go on to Surfshark and you can say, well, actually, I'm not in the UK, I'm in Spain, or I'm in America, or vice versa. You can switch it. You can basically trick the internet as to where you are. We've got a really good offer for you at the moment. 4 months free. 4 months free and a 30-day money-back guarantee. The promo code is HammersChat, all one word. Go to surfshark.com/HammersChat. And you get one. All you need is just get one. A category is going to, one subscription, or category, one subscription is going to cover all your devices. So you don't need to get a separate one for each one of your devices. Link is in the description below. Please go and check it out. Espirito Santo's taking training today, apparently. Right now, he is taking training. I think they'll immediately feel a lift. He's going to be bringing all his coaching staff in because Graham Potter's coaching staff are going. They're gone. Gone, including Macaulay, as we covered earlier on. I mean, it just makes an absolute folly. Look, it's really important, I think, that this doesn't cover up the absolute mess that's been made by the club in appointing these managers. I do feel that the appointment of Potter covered up what had gone wrong with Lopetegui. We almost stopped discussing, hold on a second, why was that guy appointed in the first place? This is really, really important. So, but for me, I almost want two things to happen. I want West Ham to improve. I want to start winning games. I want us to get out of the relegation zone. I want that. But also, if this was anything else, they'd be having a root and branch inquiry as to what happened. I said this after Lopetegui, that there will be an inquest into why this has happened. I think it's important, and that happens. Look, let's be fair. Are you going to investigate yourself? You're probably not going to do that, are you? But, that's why That's why the pressure needs to be kept on. I do believe so in the ownership at the moment. It's easy to get distracted, but I do want to concentrate on football, and I want to focus on the football as well. And I'm looking forward to hopefully West Ham improving. I think we'll be more of a counter-attacking team again. Yeah, I do. I'll take that. If I moan about the football this season, you have got my permission to tell me on and say, oi. You said you'd just be happy to get away from the relegation zone, which I will. The style of football, I think we can probably think about at some point in the future. Not for now. I just hope Nuno is the right man for the job. I think I can't think of two. I think West Ham are lucky. I think the West Ham board have got lucky here. We only ever go for available. We're lucky that he was available, because had he not have been, he's never. I was going to say never the type of manager we'd pay compensation for. We never pay compensation anyway. So I'm fully behind him, to be honest. I hope he does really, really well. I quite like him when I've seen him interviewed and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to say next. Right, I'm going to get this. There's going to be a lot of news. We've now got a lot of news for the next few days. We've got a whole weekend of this stuff before we face Everton on Monday. The only thing is now I feel like we got half a chance. I really do. I feel like we got half a chance when we face Everton, that we can get up there, we can do something, and maybe, just maybe, it can sort out the defence. Is it enough? Is it quick enough to be able to sort out the set pieces? No, but I do know this much: Everton will be looking and thinking, damn our timing. This is not fair that West Ham. Why couldn't West Ham ditch Potter after they played us? Well, we haven't done. We've done it now. I'm glad we pulled the trigger and not waited for an extra 2 games. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you happy with this Nuno appointment? Are you happy with the way that Potter was sacked? I guess you're not. I guess nobody's happy about anything, but I do think getting Nuno now is better than letting Potter take charge over Everton. And I don't take any pleasure in saying it, but I do. He's the worst manager I can remember at West Ham. He really is. So I'm pleased to get him out of there.